Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Arcantu here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm so happy to be with you today on this Friday. Friday, listen to me, I'm pushing the week. It's only Thursday, but it's not raining, so in my mind, it's already a celebration of the weekend. But rain or shine, I'm just so grateful to have this day with you, with this wonderful human being that I'm getting to talk to today. I'm grateful that Miss Candice Miller could join me and looking forward to talking with her. As you all know, Thursday is when we share the mic now with Black women in our community and share their stories. And what a wonderful story we have for you today. And what a gift of humanity that we have with us today, who's just out there and doing good. And we're so grateful that she could share with us. Let me tell you a little bit about Candice so that you know about her before we jump into chatting. She is a transformational speaker, an advocate, a minister, a servanthood leader, an author, a military veteran. She is officially founder also of Beauty from Ashes Foundation Incorporated as of July 2020. She and her children began to conceptualize this organization in 2016 after the trauma of sexual assault destroyed her family. Questions like, how can we prevent this from happening again to anyone? How can we stand in the gaps of the system that allowed us to fall through the cracks so that other families don't have to live with the hurt or feel alone or become homeless like we did? Those types of questions fueled her family's desire to help others and create a healing process for others as they were healing themselves as well. She has always felt that even in her darkness of her grief, that she can still shine a light of hope for others. While in uniform, she served as a unit supply specialist, 92Y, AFGE union president, public relations manager, suicide prevention liaison, and a volunteer chaplain for her local family readiness group. As a civilian, she has also served her community by working in the mental health industry and for a veterans organization that served the homeless and at risk of being homeless veteran population. She has a Bachelor of Arts in Public Relations and Communications from Eastern Michigan University, a mini BA in Management for Military and Veterans from Rutgers University, and is presently working on her Master's of Science in Licensure in Marriage and Family Therapy. And she has plans, we're manifesting this for her, that shortly she's going to be Dr. Miller PsyD, and we are cheering her along every step of the way. She proudly serves as one of the first African American female vice presidents for the New Jersey State Veterans Chamber of Commerce, and previously served as a member relations manager and business developer for the African American Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey, where she supported the Small Business Bonding Readiness Assistance Program in partnership with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. And with all of that, first of all, let me thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I know we're talking kind of on the heels of Female Veterans Day. We're so grateful for all the female veterans that we have in our country who have served. We have two wonderful female veterans in our organization that we're grateful for as well. So thank you so much for your service, and thank you for taking your service and using it once you came back into civilian life to continue that work and help support others as they were focused on that process as well of coming back. We know that it's definitely a challenging shift and change, and so important for all of us to be thinking about ways that we can support organizations and individuals as they are focused on that process.
Thank you so much, Helen. I really appreciate that. That was a lot of stuff you were reading. Sometimes
it was a lot of stuff, but you did it all. And it's so funny, Candice, I often read people's bios and they think, oh, you didn't have to read all that, but I did, because you did it and you deserve it, and you should really stand in that space, and we should really be thankful and grateful for all you've contributed back into the world, and clearly used your life experience, everything, from challenging to, wonderful to continue to pour back and help others. And, you know, and there's going to be more to add clearly with the work that you're doing,
Yes.
in school now. It's going to keep growing. It's going to keep growing. But thank you for so much that you've done.
Awesome. Thank you. And yes, it's going to keep growing, especially with having people like you doing what you're doing. I really appreciate this opportunity.
So, I'm not even sure where to start. There's so much about the work that you've done and your background that brings us together today. That is so linked with the mission of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey of empowering women and eliminating racism. We are very committed to female veterans. We're very committed to female entrepreneurs. Obviously, you and your family have had an experience of sexual violence. That's work that is at the core of our mission. Um, so there's a lot of connection
Yes.
between your journey and our journey for sure. So you tell me, where do you want to start?
Oh,
Where should we start?
I don't know. I have no idea. Because my heart, my mind is all over the place. I appreciate the fact that you are even having conversations with veterans. I guess backtrack a little bit. I watched your interview that you did with my friend Liz, and
Mm,
you know, obviously female veterans, and we're talking about sexual violence. You know, I love the consistency and the work that you're doing out here, trying to make sure that we're okay. Not just the veterans, but women in general, the community in general. Um, Obviously, racism is definitely something that a lot of us are faced with. So even that work, but the one thing that I want to say about this particular area, for sexual violence, there's no there's no respecter of person in this regard. It happens to everyone, men and women, young and old, all nationalities, all races. This particular issue, it sucks for everybody. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know
yeah.
how else to say
There
it.
is there is no well, I think you said it well. There is no discrimination when it comes to sexual violence for sure. And I think, every survivor has a very different journey in terms of
Yeah,
dealing with what has occurred to them and that healing process.
yeah.
How has your family worked through that piece of it?
Um, you know what? Before we even get to that, no
Mm,
one knows why Beauty from Ashes exists as yet. So I guess I,
okay.
I can start with introducing our foundation and why
Please.
I started it. So Beauty from Ashes Foundation, as Helen mentioned, I founded it in July of 2020. Well, our 501c3 um, was in came to fruition in July of 2020. We were actually doing the work long before the 501c3 came through. So in 2016, my daughter was 16, and that's when I found out that my husband raped my daughter. He was actually still in the service. I was out of the service already, and I was in the process of, I was taking care of home. I was substitute teaching. I was taking care of our kids. We're a blended family. And that destroyed so much, so many aspects
Mm,
of our lives. I have two beautiful bonus babies who are not babies anymore. Actually, one just graduated high school. Well, 2.5, because they also came with an older brother who didn't was not birthed, through my husband at the time. Um, but in 2016, my daughter wanted to die, and I had to teach her and give her a reason to live. So beauty from ashes, it started from that. While our lives were destroyed, still smoldering, God told me that I had to create something beautiful from the ashes,
mm,
which means I had to still carry the light even though we were buried, you know? And so like if you guys, get a chance to look at my logo, it is actually my hand. It is my hand coming out of the ashes. And the flower that is growing from my palm is actually a lotus. And the lotus is intentional. It represents purity and strength because it can grow in any terrain. And the colors are always so bright, vibrant. So all of that just speaks to what we were going through and what he told me to create. And the stem of the lotus is actually my veins. And that was like for me, like God just saying, like it's the pulse of your heart that is going to give beauty. You're gonna have to create it and you're gonna have to start now. So it was my job, my mission to teach everyone, even that's in the rumble, hey, we're just going to have to dig our way out of this.
Mhm.
We have to remove, reuse, repurpose, rebuild, or, you know, we have to figure out how to create something beautiful from within the ashes. So my mission has been to help everyone, especially sexual assault victims, like just rediscover the beauty of their lives that was ultimately deemed destroyed. Like, I'm not giving up on you. At 16, my baby wanted to die. She is 23 now. She is co founder of this foundation and VP. She graduated college last year with honors. She's on her way to grad school and ultimately on her way to get her PhD. She leaves in August, which is bittersweet. I'm super excited for her and what she's doing. It's like I just want to continue to just catapult her, do whatever I can do to help her to continue to thrive. It started with her. She is the one who gave me the courage to use my voice to even speak up for myself. For me, I did not. I experienced sexual trauma even in the military. I experienced sexual trauma even as a child. I've always been a fighter. I've always been resilient. Like I'm fine. Like it didn't destroy me. It's like I'm gonna outdo this thing. Like so for me, I didn't speak up for myself. But when it came to my kid, and for any other
Mhm.
mother bears out there, don't mess like don't mess with my kids. Do not touch my babies. Do not. So she gave me the courage, the strength to do this when my biological son and my daughter, we came up with this. And when we were going through this process of healing and talking about what it is that we were experiencing, my questions were like, how do we, one, how do we really feel about this? Dealing with the different agencies, going through all these different things to seek help. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it hurt. It hurt like hell. I
Mhm.
don't know if I can say that, if you have to bleep that, but I don't know how else to describe it. It felt like so many people further victimize the victims in some of their processes.
Mhm.
The way that we were questioned, and I'm not talking about from the police. The police asked their questions. They were so loving. Matter of fact, one of the detectives that was on our case literally texted me last week and were like, "How are you guys doing?" They showed up to my daughter's high school graduation. They tried to make it to Atlanta for her college graduation. Before she leaves here, they're definitely going to make sure that they wrap her arms around her before she starts grad school. So the police system, like how that system worked for us, that was an absolute blessing, and they became our family.
Mhm.
Beyond that, all the different agencies that are supposed to be out here to help, they hurt us so bad. They hurt us so bad. And that was my mission. It was like, how do we fill in the gap? And for the agencies that did say that they had help, there was such a process, a tedious process to get it, and a long time frame before those services kicked in. We're like, we want to fix that. How can we bridge the gaps? I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I just want to make sure people don't experience their journey towards healing the way that we did. If I did not have a solid foundation in my Christian relationship, and if I didn't have my military training, being homeless with my kids, I told my babies we're going to be the sexiest homeless people out here. The one thing I was able to maintain was my gym membership. My car note,
Mhm.
I was able to push that off. So between sleeping in our car, we were able to go to the gym like twice a day. It's like we could shower. I also understood the importance of mental health and how working out
Yeah.
will help to make sure that, like we have a healthy outlet so that we can sustain. So for me, it was multi purpose. We had a safe place to shower. We could go have some fun. We could make sure that we're working out, and we could just woosah during that time because we were shelter hopping, hotel hopping. And when they weren't with me, I was sleeping in my car. So I don't want anyone to ever have to experience that again. One of the things that the detective said to me that night, he was like, Mom, you have no idea how many of the people that I am fighting with to get them to believe they're victims, right? He said, I spend over 90% of my time trying to convince them that their loved one is telling the truth. And he said,
Mm,
I can tell the ones that actually do believe them, but what they're choosing is their livelihood, right? They're choosing not to believe their child so that they can keep the roof over their head and access to their resources. And if I'm being completely honest, like my response was very indignant. Like, how could they pimp their kids for a roof over their head? How could they do this? And that's why I said I took for granted even my military training, right? I know how to take care of myself outside. There are a lot of people who don't.
they
I
don't.
know how to pray, and that passages like this too shall pass. On that, I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, right? That all things work together for the good of those that love him. These are the constant things that were running through my mind that told me that it won't always be like this. So those things were always an encouragement. So no matter how it looked on the outside, if I believe the things that I say, then I have to hold on tight to those things. And that's what helped me. I want to bring my strength, my courage to others who are out here hurting. And I want to let them know one, they're absolutely beautiful and that their lives are worth living. And we are living proof. My daughter accomplishing the things that she's accomplishing, the things that I'm accomplishing. I'm working on my master's in marriage and family therapy. And eventually, I'm manifesting also. Thank you for joining me, Helen. I will be Dr. Miller as well.
Yes.
Um, so I know that we're living proof. We're the first product of our efforts. So, and we've helped a lot of people. We've helped to provide furniture and resources. We've redecorated homes. We've helped them to get into their new places where they are safe. We've loved them to life so that they're out here living, the lives that they should be living and
Mm,
on a path to greatness. Just recently, our one of our most recent clients, she's 79 years old, just heartbreaking. We completely furnished her entire apartment, just loving on her. She never expected that. She didn't, you know what I mean? She just began to tell me her story, and I knew what she was going through. We got it. I partnered up with an organization called Round Two Resources, and they've helped me with some of the furniture. Raymore and Flanagan, one of the representatives from the Raymore and Flanagan right here in our town, she calls me. There are certain clients that like if they are just upgrading to a new, their family's expanding, so now they need new furniture, they will buy their new furniture, but their older furniture that's in amazing shape. Raymore and Flanagan calls me, hey Candace, I have another client. They're about to send you the pictures. Let me know if you have anyone who needs this. So the partnerships, it is
mm,
things are manifesting. So our community coming together to make sure that we are loving those whose lives have been destroyed by sexual assault. That's what I want to continue to do. I want to continue to bridge the gap. I want to continue to establish the loving relationships that we're establishing right here today to make sure that we're doing what we're doing so that Beauty from Ashes Foundation Incorporated will do exactly what it was designed to do, is to help as many people as possible restore the beauty of their lives. So that's why I started it. I don't know if you have another question for me and all of that, but
I let me just say there was so much in what you just said, and I'm so grateful for how generous and open you are in sharing your story because there's so much healing for others and hope that you create for others. And obviously, you talked about the challenges in our systems, and that it's traumatic enough for a family to go through what you had to deal with as an ordeal, and quite frankly, it's as a society. we do not have enough supports for families. So very often, we demonize parents who sit there and try to figure out what to do when something like this disrupts their ability for their livelihood. But they're very tough decisions. I mean, it's never tough to protect your child, but it's tough to figure out where are we going to get food from? Where are we going to get shelter from? Because, it's not always so accessible to everybody. So,
It's
you really have painted such a picture of, your experience and how you did it, but you really shined a light on really one of our systemic fails, as a society, and that, speaking to it really does remind us that we do need to continue to keep a focus, keep our lawmakers, keep to put funding to support organizations like yours to rework our systems to make sure that we can wrap around families when they're already experiencing the trauma of sexual violence, to not have to then make that next decision about, well, what do I do about
yeah,
protecting my child, or making sure that having food and shelter for them, because that's protecting your child too, and that's a terrible
it's
decision for a parent to be in,
it
to try to manage balance that.
it is, and that's what I want to take off their plate. I would like to
Mm,
be the first person that the detectives are calling or that they're giving them their card to. Like, hey, here's another one. Like I can see that the mother or whoever the caregiver is, I can see that they are struggling with making, the right choice because they're unsure of where they're going to live. Like, can you talk to them? So I need to take that off the plate. I don't need anyone to ever second guess their decision to protect the children
mm,
or even protect themselves because of, so that they can maintain their livelihood. I don't want that. And unfortunately, we're in a season where giving is down. But I feel like making the right connections, the right resources, um, a little bit from a lot goes a long way. You know,
yes,
it
yes.
doesn't have to be a
And I
lot.
and I I also want to say, I mean, that you shared in your own personal story that you yourself had been, a survivor of sexual violence, but that was something you had kind of put aside and kept, working through in your life until it happened to your daughter, and at which point, you, obviously head on, you know took it on for all of you, your whole family at that point. um what messages do you have for, I mean, we know statistically that there are a lot of people that are walking around that have not put words to the sexual violence that they've experienced, out of fear of what comes next, when they do. What are some messages you have for folks that might be, not at the point yet, or fearful in, going forward and getting help?
I guess the first thing that I would tell them is that it wasn't their fault. They didn't deserve it. They didn't do anything wrong. And it is unfortunate. And I am sorry on behalf of those who didn't support them. I'm sorry that they didn't love on them and protect them the way that they should have. Even if they couldn't protect them, I apologize for them that they didn't step up and do what was necessary to make sure
Mm,
that they got what they needed, that they were reassured that they were loved and that they deserved to be covered and protected and that they didn't d- deserve for that to happen to them. I guess that would be the first thing, to just to remind them that it's not their fault. The second thing is I would tell them that sometimes they need to put their own mask on first. I am one of those
mm,
people who am always out taking care of everyone else, and I forgot to put my own mask on until I'm about to pass out. But we're no good to anyone else if we can't breathe and if we can't stand. So I would tell them that it is okay to be self full, even for just a moment. Not selfish. It's not selfish to take care of yourself.
mm,
To be self full, because when I'm full, then I can pour into you. I mean, there's no deficit. For my entire life, I feel like I've always given from a place of deficit and I was always left empty, you know? Until now, my thing is to make sure that I am healthy and whole. I'm full so that I have an overflow to pour into other people. And I want to build them up to the point when they are doing the same thing, when they are pouring from their overflow into the next person. So I would also tell them to take some time to figure out why they were chosen to survive. because it didn't take them out and they're still here. They're still here for a reason. You need to figure out why. When I ask God, why did he choose me? I have a smart aleck mouth, personality, and I feel like that's the way God speaks back to me. So when I asked that question, he said back to me, because you have a big mouth. I was like, how rude, but how true.
Mhm.
you know, he's given me the ability and the courage to speak through my pain, and that's why he chose me, so that I can shed new light. Although tears may flow, it's not stopping my mission. It's not stopping the words from coming out of my mouth. Everyone can't do that. So I recognize that that is one of the reasons why I was chosen. I have a big mouth and I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. And so I would want them to do the same thing. Figure out, what is your
Mhm.
gift? Why were you chosen to survive? I mean, use it.
Well, that's such important advice. And yes, we believe you. We're here for you. There are organizations like CanDice's. There's organizations like YWC Northern New Jersey's Healing Space. I also want to say, in case anybody is watching and has been impacted by sexual violence, you can call our hotline 24/7 at 201-487-2227. You can text. You can get on the phone, you can email, and you'll get someone directly to be able to support you and connect you not only to counseling services, but organizations like Candace's as well, to be able to support you and your family. Um, it really does take a village to be able to wrap around people. And that really is, I think, the importance of having you on here today is sharing your part of the work. There's so many amazing organizations out there doing, pieces, but together we can wrap around survivors and support them through a challenging time, and get them to a better place for sure. So your family has really thrived because of your focus, your strength, you hearing your calling and stepping into it. And you're the second mother I've spoken to this week on YWTV who really stepped into a space that they were not was not theirs until something happened to their child. And then, you both differently for different reasons, but heard the calling, and really stepped into the space. I can hear where you get a lot of that strength from, for yourself. And clearly, we can hear where you've brought your vision to today. I mean, here we hear your daughter's getting ready to go on a wonderful next journey for herself. You're
Yes.
getting ready for a next journey for yourself, Dr. Miller, coming shortly. But tell us, what's next for your organization? I mean, you've poured so much of your experience and you've already helped so many. Um, we have our viewers here. We also want to make sure our viewers can see the link to your website. Please follow Candace's organization on social media so you can stay connected to her and to the great work that they're doing. But what's next for your organization, and how can we help support you and your work?
So my plan, especially for the rest of the year, is we're coming up with a couple more events to bring the community out. We want to have some fun. So we are actually, I'm an R&B head, grew up in the 90s. um, so we're planning some community events. So I would say stay tuned, pay attention to our website. I'm more active on Instagram, and
Hmm.
there it is on the screen right now, which is
Yeah.
at BFA underscore foundation underscore Inc. Um, I just participated in a golf tournament, a fundraiser yesterday, and at the 15th hole, they honored Beauty from Ashes. They had
Hmm.
our information out there. So I'm looking to continue to partner with more people in the community, um, and just, I don't know, just jumping in. I'm so
Hmm.
open to what God has right now. Last year, we hosted 4 conferences: Mind, Body, Spirit, Replenish. We are looking to bring back the conference. Um, that's how we were able to touch over 300 people I'm believing that we're going to touch even more this year.
Hmm.
And the co-ed event, I feel was probably one of the most powerful because we created even a safe space for um, the male victims to actually be able to actually just openly admit that they've been violated as well, you know?
Hmm.
So yes, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're
Yeah.
working on some things, um, and you're going to be hearing a lot from us coming up. We're working on some phenomenal things, community based programs.
Well, that's amazing to know. And I'm so glad that you put some focus on male survivors as well. That definitely is a group that um, survivors in general, their stories don't always come to light for so many, different reasons, but male survivors, even more so, there's a shroud of secrecy around and shame. But it's so important that they get help as well. I'm happy to hear, and, wonderful for anyone who is a survivor to know that you can reach out to CanDice's organization for support. The YWCA of Northern New Jersey's Healing Space does have a group specifically for male survivors to be able to help them work through the mental health aspect of the support. But wonderful, we've also got CanDice's organization to be able to provide the other pieces. We have one of our viewers, Carol Div, is saying, congratulations to both of us for the great work that we're doing. And,
Thank
all I can say is, and I know she knows this too because she's a community person, it really does take all of us to link arms together for sure. Unfortunately, your experience is not as unique as we would want to think that it is. But it is one that doesn't often get the support and attention that's needed for various reasons. Um, but knowing that you are out there, your family has come together in this way to be able to heal what you've been through and use that to help heal others is so, so important. Time goes so quickly when we talk, and there's never enough time to talk, which always makes me know there'll be another conversation to be had. But before we leave each other, please, is there anything else that you just really want to make sure that you either impart or share about your experience, your organization, or something else that you're working on that you just want to make sure our viewers know?
You know what? I think I would just want to make sure everyone knows that they are loved, they are cared for, and their life is worth living. So keep living it. Please don't give up. Please do not give up. You were chosen to survive. There's somebody on this earth that needs to cross paths with you, even if it's just to see your smile. Please, please don't give up.
Well, I can't think of a better place to leave it. And again, I do want to encourage anyone who's watching who might need some support. Again, you can reach out to Healing Space 24/7 for a support 201-487-2227. You can reach out to this wonderful organization with so much humanity and respect that will come to you to be able to wrap around whatever your family needs by going to beautyfaf.org, as well as going to, as Candice shared, she's very active on her IG, which is at BFA underscore foundation underscore Inc. So please connect with her. Please stay connected with this organization. I also really encourage you, as we know, YWTV is really about sharing important information. Please take something you learned today and incorporate it into a conversation with someone that you are talking with. Either drop it into a text or share it when you're chatting with one of your friends on the phone. Think about someone in your life who really could use this message. Share the link to this broadcast for them to see. So generous of Candice and her family to share their experience and show us that there is hope, that there is light, that there is so much more. Clearly, talking about where they were in 2016 and talking about where they are in 2023, it's definitely a new and different day. But
It is.
they surely built on what happened to get to this place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like Helen mentioned, so we do actually need the support of the community. If you go onto our website, there is a donate option that's on the top right. So
So
we do need
please, yes, please, and I say this to our viewers all the time. There's so many great organizations. We want you to. The reason we're introducing you to them is so that you can support people. Often ask me, how can I help? In different areas. Here's a great way that you can help. There's so many ways, whether it's donations, whether it's in kind, whether it's volunteering your time, whether it's creating a linkage to a grant or a foundation for Candace's organization.
please.
We all have the power to be able to support this and tremendous work that she's doing. So please take the time to do that. And take the time to take care of yourself. I can't be more struck by what you said about being selfful and not selfless. And I will carry that with me today for sure. So I'm so grateful that you shared that with me.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Yes, we appreciate you too, Candace. Thank you for all the work you're doing, to you and your family. And to our viewers, we wish you a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.